Okay, my little AP Art friends, here we are at AP Studio Art. We got a lot of information to cover. We're not going to do it all today because we got a whole year of this. Wait, what's that? You're not in the class for the whole year? Hold on, let's look at this flow chart right here. Look, are you enrolled in AP Art next semester? Yes. Cool, you're good to go. No problem, you're in AP Art. Nah, you're not enrolled next semester. Next slide. Would you like to take AP Art next semester? Yes. Cool. Go talk to your counselor. They can sign you up. Let's get you in the class. And then if you said, nah, cool story, bro. You're in the class anyway. So let's look. Yes, cool. Go talk to your counselor. They can sign you up. Okay, now we're all in AP Art. We're good to go. Let's look at some of the requirements, just a few to get us started. To the portfolio that you will be sending in. The first one's called Selected Works. That is 5 works of art that you have to physically send in. Don't worry about that. We'll take care of that at the end of the year. The other one is Sustained Investigation. That's the one we're going to talk about right now. For sustained investigation, you must create 15 works of art throughout the whole year. Pretty much it's going to be a work of art every 2 weeks. Not a big deal. We just have to stay on schedule. Here's the catcher. It has to be based. Your work has to be based on what they call a guiding question. So that means everything you do, every piece of artwork you make, you start with the same question and you answer the question by making a work of art. I know it's confusing. Don't worry about it. We're going to work it up to it. But just to give you some examples, you're going to begin with a question like, how can I blank with my artwork? Like, how can I explore the use of stilts in architecture through my sculpture work? Or how can I use arbitrary colors in portraits to better portray emotions? Like, these are the kind of questions you would start with, and then you would make a whole portfolio around it. So there's 3 things they're going to be looking for that are very, very important. We're going to talk about these a lot, but that is that you practice, that you use experimentation, and you revise your work. Let me show you some portfolios from last year, and I'll tell you the scores, and you'll understand this a little better. Number 1, this is by Claude, and he did these wonderful portraits, color pencil, and used arbitrary colors, sort of that question I was just talking about. How can I create portraits using arbitrary colors? And he did his classmates. And here you can see another one. And here you can see a third one. And he got better. He definitely got the practice down. So here's all 3 together. So my question would be, did he practice, experiment, and revise? And he did practice, because you can see they got better as they went along, but he didn't really experiment that much. They're all sort of the same, right? So he did a little revision, but he kind of mostly didn't experiment. So he ended up getting a 3 on his portfolio. I can go to the next slide. There it is. Oops. A 3 on his portfolio. Now, let me say something right now. A 3 is great. If you can get a 3, that's what we're shooting for. This is a great portfolio, a great body work. But he could have taken it a little bit further and gotten a 4. Let's see how. Now, this is Aiden's work from last year. He started out with this idea where he was just going to make boxes and he was going to do his little drawings in them. And just a very simple, that's how he started out. And then he took that and he experimented and he revised that idea. He was like, what if I do all the little characters in the background and then I put portraits in front of it? And then he took that idea a little bit further and he's like, what if I took those characters and I put them into the portrait and they left a negative space in the background? So you can see here how he practiced, he experimented, and he revised, and how it changes along the way. And he ended up getting a 4 on his portfolio, which is fantastic. If you get a 4, I'll buy you a cake. Okay, probably just like a chocolate cake, but like a cake. And now, this is Audrey, and she started off with, she was going to do her characters. So she did her first characters here, and she was like, well, that's not really enough just to be doing your characters. So we talked about it, and I was like, she had a lot of photography she did, and I was like, what if you put your characters into your photography? So she started doing that, and then she wasn't really excited about it. So then she was like, what if I just like did my characters, and then I based the backgrounds on the photography, and then I created them and I put them into their individual background. So she had this idea like that. And now you can see she practiced, she experimented, she changed, she revised, and she came up with new ideas based on her original first idea. And she ended up getting a 5. If you get a 5 on your portfolio, I'll buy you 2 cakes. I'll buy you like a chocolate and a vanilla cake, because that's absolutely fantastic. All right, we're going to look at the AP grading just so you understand. You can get a 1, a 2, and if you get a 1 or a 2, unfortunately, you don't pass. But if you get a 3, and that's the number we're looking for, you're good. If you get a 4, you're golden. And if you get a 5, 2 cakes. That's a 2-caker right there. If you get a 3, don't be disappointed. That's a great number. All year long, we're looking for a 3. That means you are outstanding college work. All right, just to clarify, 50% of the grade comes from your artwork. 30% of it comes from written and visual evidence that you practiced, experimented, and revised. So they want to see that you can write about it and that you actually did it. And 20% comes from your guiding question. We're going to talk a lot more about guiding questions as we go along, but you've got to have a great guiding question. You want to experiment. And then if you're talented, that other 50% is where you're going to get your grade from. That's grading. All right, we're going to look at a couple of considerations. Size of the artwork. Don't do it any smaller than 9 by 12, but don't do any larger than 18 by 24. And the reason I say that is the envelopes we have to send the work back into, the 5 for the selected works, physically have to send them in an envelope. So they have to fit in the envelope, which is 18 by 24. So don't make them bigger than that. Also, keep it smaller because it's easier to work quicker if you have smaller. If you have really big works, it can be harder to work faster to get, stay within your 2-week schedule. We'll talk more about schedules. All right, watch the copyright. You cannot use copyright images. You can't draw a Mickey Mouse. You can't copy from a photograph you got from a magazine or off the internet. You can't copy pictures because that's copyright infringement. Do you want to be a copyright infringer? Do you? No, you don't. So draw from observation. That's number one. If you have to use a reference photo, fine. Take your own photos. Those pictures I showed to Claude, he took those photos. Then he changed them. So it wasn't a direct copy of the photo. He added the cool colors and stuff. So you can use a reference photo, try to use your own. If you have to use them off the internet, you need to change them so it's not a direct copy. Very, very important. Copyright infringement gets you kicked out of AP Art. All right, composition just overall, the background is as important as the foreground. So you can't just draw like, I'm going to draw a tree and not have a background behind it. I'm going to draw a person and not have a background. It doesn't have to have a background like a setting, but it has to have something. There's got to be something there that makes it as important as the foreground. Just something to think about. Now, you can't put any names on your work. A lot of times you want to sign your work, you're pressed, you're proud, you want to hang it in the hall, want people to know who made it. I understand. Put your name on the back. AP people, they can't be able to identify you. And if your name's on the front, it could come around. They could be like, well, you knew who Audrey was, and when they go to do the judging. So you can't have your name on the front. Audrey had her name on the front of one of the pictures. We couldn't use that one. All right, write your name on the back. Last but not least, I'm going to put this in some other information. I'm going to get this to you, but you're going to have to register for your free AP Central account. That's where you're going to get a portfolio where you can put up all your work. That's the website, but I got to get you the code, so we're going to do that later. All right, let's take a look at the weekly schedule. Here's how it's going to work around here. On Mondays, just like today, you're going to check into the Google Classroom, and I'm going to give you a weekly assignment. You'll probably watch a video, have to complete a Google form. And that'll be it for Mondays. On Tuesday, it's a studio day. So you work in your studio, set up a space where you can make your art and make art. Wednesday, check back in Google Classrooms. We'll have a weekly check-in. We might do some feedback, stuff like that, about what's going on with the art, watch a video, Google form. Thursday is another studio day. Continue making that art. And then every Friday, you're going to upload a piece of artwork to the Google slide presentation. We'll talk about that this Friday. And that will be either a work in progress or completed. Just every Friday, we're going to see where we're at with the artwork. Okay, this week, here's your assignment. I want you by Friday to create a work of art. No requirements whatsoever. You just create. Don't worry about the sustained investigation. Don't worry about your guiding question. Don't worry about anything I said in this presentation. Just keep all that stuff in the back of your mind. But create a piece of art that you enjoy in a medium you enjoy working at. And then when we get that on Friday, we use that maybe as a little stepping stone for where we're going to go with this whole portfolio thing. So that's it. Till Wednesday. See you then.